In this video, I'll show you how to create teleporters that can transport your players from one part of a dungeon to another, and can even transport your players to entirely different maps. Okay, in order to do this, you do need to have access to the Roll20 API, and you're going to want to install this script. I'm going to put a link to it down in the description of the video. Once you got this script loaded, then the first thing we need to do is define a point that we want to teleport from and the location we want to teleport to. So what I'm going to do is grab a token here. I'm just going to roll 1d12 here so that I can have a token to pull onto the map. And I'm going to say I want to teleport from this square right here. So I'm going to put this token onto the GM layer, make sure it's on the GM layer. And I'm going to set its multi-sided property to be a 1 because this is my starting point. And I'm going to double click on the token and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call this teleport 02A. And the name matters, and we'll break down what each part of the name means in just a second. I'm going to click Save Changes. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drag another token onto the GM layer over here. This one already has side 2 set up, so that's great. And I'm going to double click on this guy, and I'm going to call him teleport 02B. Okay, so now let's talk about what each part of the name means here. The first part of the name, in this case teleport, is basically the name of the path. So we're going to go from point A to point B on this teleport token. But you'll notice I have other ones set up in my dungeon right here, and these are called BAMF03A, and this one is BAMF03B. So these two teleport points are related because they have the same name. These two teleport points are related because they have the same name of teleport. The 02 represents how many jumps within the teleport chain. So this is saying there are going to be 2 points. So I have point 1 and point 2, and they're just going to bounce back and forth between each other. The last item in the name, this letter, represents which hop this token represents in the overall chain. So we start out at A, and then we work our way down. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. You can actually have up to 12 jumps in total for a teleport chain. So you could go all the way down to the letter L. But for purposes here, I'm just going to keep it to 2. All right, so the idea now is my players can move their tokens onto this square, which will then teleport them to this square over here. So let me jump over to my player. All right, so here's what my player sees. I'm going to move my player's token to that spot, and bamf, I get teleported over to this other part of the screen. And then if I move back to that where token 2 lives, I get teleported back. All right, so let's jump back to the DM view. All right, so this is great, but my players don't have any way to know where the teleport points are. And maybe that's what you want to do in your dungeon. You may want to have them randomly step on a square and it just bamps them someplace else. That's cool. But if you want to make this more stable so that they know that if they step on something, they're going to get teleported, then what we can do is put on a token on the token layer representing this. I searched around. I found this cool looking teleport pad token. And I'm just going to put this on the token layer. And I'm going to move my player here out of the way. All right, and I'm just going to move this teleport pad token right onto the same square. So now my player will see that there's the teleport pad there, and when he steps on it, bam, he's over here. I'm going to do the same thing over on the other side. All right, now I have teleport pads designating where I'm going to go. So let's say you want to create a one-way teleport. So the players step on a square, they get teleported someplace else, and then they can't teleport back. All right, that can be done as well. What you want to do is create teleport tokens. Like if we look at my BAMF chain right here, I'm going to open this up, but you'll notice I only have 2 hops in the BAMF chain, but I'm saying there are 3. Well, what happens is we're going to BAMF from 1 to 2, And then we will try to bamf from 2 to 3, but 3 doesn't exist, so we won't be able to teleport again from this square. So if you want to have a one-way teleport, you make this one number higher than the number of hops in the overall chain. So I'm saying I have a 3-hop chain here. There are really only 2 named tokens in that chain, which means that we'll bamf from 1 to 2, but then we can't bamf from 2 to anywhere else. So just to show what that looks like, let me move my player's token down here to the map, and then we'll jump to my player's view. All right, this is an unmarked square, so this is going to be a surprise when he teleports. Okay, he bamfs to this spot. We'll move him, but now he can't teleport back. So really handy way if you do want to do a one-way teleportation, like if you're going to teleport your players from a particular room, say into a coffin or something equally diabolical, that's the way you'd go about doing that. All right, so now let's say that we want to have our players teleport from one map to another. So maybe we have finished cleaning out this dungeon, and there's a statue at the very end that the players will touch, and it opens a portal back to the surface. All right, well, first thing we're going to do is, again, put a token onto the map. And I'm going to make sure this token is on the GM layer. And then I'm going to choose the number 1 for the token, because this is my start point. Double click on it, and I want this to be a one-way teleport. I don't want my players to be able to go back through the portal once they've left the dungeon. So I'm going to call this back to surface. And I'm going to say that there are 3 hops in the chain, even though I'm only going to make 2, because again, I want this to be a one-way. And this will be back to surface 03A. This will be my first jump. I'm also going to change the tint color just so I can differentiate the different teleport chains that I have on the screen. Okay, and I also want a visual indicator that there's a teleport here, so I'm going to put this portal token onto the map as well, and I'm just going to put that onto the token layer and move it over there. Okay, so that's my start point. Now what I'm going to do is go to the map I want to teleport to, so I'm going to use this forest map here. Start out the same. We're going to pop on our token. We're going to put that token onto the GM layer, and then we'll choose a side. We'll make this side 2, and double click on this. So this is going to be back to surface 03B, and tint color will be orange. I'm not going to put the portal show icon out here because, again, this is going to be a one-way deal. The only other thing we have to do now is we need to put the player's token on this map somewhere. Because if we don't do this, the player doesn't teleport properly. So I'm going to grab my player's token. I'm going to put it onto the map. And you can put it onto the GM layer just so that it's hidden so other players that might be already on this map won't see the player's token. So now I'll switch back to my player's view. And now my player is going to step through the portal. You see they've been teleported to that spot in the forest map automatically. I didn't need to move their token there or anything. And if I switch back to my DM view, you'll notice now the player's token is here. It's on the new map. Right? It's not down here anymore. It's been moved to that teleport point, and it's been placed onto the token layer. And if I go back to the original map, the player's token is still here, but now it's been moved automatically to the GM layer. So when the player moves from one map to another, the map they are leaving, their token will be placed on the GM layer, and the map they're going to, their token will be moved to the token layer. Now, one last thing to mention. If you look at the Pages toolbar, you'll see that the player who teleported, their avatar is now over here on this other map. So they're actually separated from the player ribbon. So when the time comes that you go to move the ribbon, to take the players to a different map, the player that's over here will not be taken with them. Just grab their avatar, drag it onto the player's ribbon, and then now you can grab the players all as a unit and move them around. And that's how you can create teleport chains using Roll20. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks a lot for watching, and have a great day.